million question. If you had to sum up this year, what would you say has, actually moved the crypto markets?
So yeah, I mean, this year's been a year I think that many people have so far found frustrating because everybody wants exponential price rises and every number to go up, and it's not been that kind of year. What we've seen in the background is this massive change in regulation in the US. So the background is incredibly positive. Passing of the stablecoin laws, we're still waiting for the Clarity Act to come through. We've seen pretty much every bank and financial institution, so they're going to build on blockchain rails. So we've seen the rise of the ETFs, the DAT. So we've seen this whole kind of Wall Street infrastructure build out on crypto. And you would have thought, had we have said this before, you'd say the number was much higher. Now, obviously, Bitcoin hit new highs over the course of the year, but still things like Solana and Ethereum still haven't really broken to new highs versus the last cycle, which is confusing people. That sent me down a rabbit hole of, okay, what's really going on here? And the kind of foundational work that I did called the Everything Code was based on this 4-year cycle to do with the 4-year debt maturity of the United States and most countries. And I redid the work and found out that in 2022, because interest rates got down to 0 again in 21 and early 22, they restructured the debt to 5 years. So it's added another year. So we've got this weird kind of hybrid extra year that we've never had before. And we've seen that in things like the business cycle. The ISM survey gives us a guide of the business cycle. And people talk about this K-shaped economy where growth stocks have been going up, but meanwhile, things like the economy have been relatively slow for normal people. And that's a function of this business cycle not picking up, rates staying high, and the fact that they didn't need to refinance the debts in massive size this year, but it all comes to next year. So it's been really a patience game of the sideways choppy market, but people forget also, last year was the same. Last year peaked in somewhere early in the year and then did nothing all year. Everyone got so frustrated, everyone was flinging poo at each other online and getting angry with each other. And then before you know it, took off like a rocket ship in November and December. And I think it's somewhat similar this time around. And the rocket ship this time around is based on the fact that they've kind of not been adding liquidity into the US. That's the magic formula that drives the price higher, the debasement of currency. And what they've done, what's happened is there's various mechanisms they use to add liquidity. The classic used to be quantitative easing, where they just print money and put it on the balance sheet. But this time around, they've not been doing that. They've actually been tightening. And so then they have this mechanism called the reverse repo and then the Treasury General Account. And these things they've been using. And what's happened is the government shutdown has stopped the government actually spending money, which means that they've held back and maybe $250 billion of stimulus that needs to come into the economy. So that, as soon as the government reopens in the next few days, we'll start to see liquidity flowing back in. Then we've got the Federal Reserve cutting rates. Then we've got the Clarity Act coming. Then we've got some changes to bank regulations to allow them to hold more reserves. And before you know it, the whole liquidity flywheel kicks off.
Good morning, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of your favorite crypto news related channel. And today is another exciting episode that we have prepared for you guys because, of course, Grayscale and Franklin Templeton's spot XRP ETFs went live on the New York Stock Exchange yesterday, and I'm going to be breaking down the details here. Now, one thing everybody should be aware of, we're breaking records in the XRP community, not only talking about volume, but the inflows for the XRP spot ETF issuers. They are off the charts and off to the races here in November of 2025. I've also got some really interesting data and analytics to show what is the long-term impact of these XRP spot issuers buying and absorbing the liquidity that's out there. We could be talking about double-digit XRP in the next 6 months, and that's for the bears, right? For the real exciting price targets, you're going to have to stick around later on in the episode. But again, nobody has a crystal ball. It's always fun to indulge in these topics. One thing that we know for sure, $165 million worth of XRP was absorbed from the OTC desks and the exchanges yesterday. I'm anticipating that's going to ramp up towards the back end of November, and I'm going to kind of outline that all throughout today's episode. We've also got the supply shock narrative. So a lot of people haven't emphasized this enough. I'm seeing XRP content creators begin to talk about this. There is a supply shock on the horizon, but it's a cumulative moment. So we build up, and all of a sudden, there's not supply for these issuers. Now, here's what's really interesting. that will lead to rapid price appreciation. How high we go, I'm not sure. But once again, I believe that first breakout will take us to a $4.50 price for the XRP community. That's a price that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. Now, somebody said, is BlackRock getting an XRP ETF? I've got another narrative in regards to that we're going to cover. So I'm going to answer your question right after this. And XRP Army 49632, our 228th member. Shout out to all the members of the Good Evening Crypto community, guys. We appreciate each and every single one of you. Now, let's just analyze the XRP price chart very briefly. During yesterday's episode, you guys remember because you were here, we had the XRP price chart trading at about $2.05, then $2.07, then $2.11 by the end of the episode. Well, we went off air and this asset pumped all the way to $2.27 yesterday. This is the type of momentum that I had been calling for earlier in the week. So for everyone who saw my Sunday morning update, what did I state in that video? We needed a weekly closure above $2 for the XRP price chart to have created a higher low. Now look at this, guys, from a macro structure. We've got a higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low. That's what we're witnessing here. And what comes after that? Major bullish momentum for the XRP price chart. I also wanted to draw the correlation to 2017. Now, all of our daily listeners, you guys have heard me go through this before. Someone said the Christian crypto crusader. Shout out to Zerka. If you know, you know, my friends. But this person just became our 229th member. Massive thank you to Havoc Actual in chat, guys. But here's the correlation that I really wanted to draw. When you're looking at the XRP price chart, people are underestimating how parabolic this can get towards the back end of 2025. And we don't even have to speculate. We can look at prior bull markets and what occurred, not only just 12 months ago when XRP went up 400% in 25 days, but if you go all the way back to 2017, we had a massive liquidity wick. And I hope you guys can see this clearly on the screen. Trading sideways, massive liquidity wick, parabolic momentum. Where are we in 2025? Trading sideways, massive liquidity wick, and what could be coming next? Parabolic momentum for the XRP community. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean 10? Does it mean 20? Does it mean 1,000? That is up for everybody to guess, but my anticipation, $4.50 breakout first, then we need to conquer $9, then we need to conquer $12. We're going to take it range by range here on the Good Evening Crypto community, guys. We do already have 2,000 live listeners here joining us. If you're excited and you enjoy this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. We do an update every single day live at 11 a.m. and you get a 5:30 p.m. update here. We already passed 281 likes on the episode, but I also want to give a huge thank you to the 35,000 subscribers, guys. Shout out to you guys, one of the fastest growing communities in all of crypto, and we did pass 35,000 subscribers last night. So I want to give a huge shout out to all of our daily listeners, Clinton, KG, Mariah, all the people. I can't name every single one of you, but we appreciate the people who show up and participate in these live streams. And one of the reasons that we're the best in the business is because of you guys. We got the best community in all of crypto. Now, let's dive into some of the analytics once again. We are looking at I got to refresh this data here. But what did we see yesterday? We saw $165 million worth of inflows come into these spot products. We also witnessed over $100 million worth of volume during this day. So really interesting. We're going to continue to see all this momentum ramp up here. And remember, what I'm building up towards is the supply shock moment and the impact that that would have on the XRP price chart. But just analyzing some of this data very briefly, we're looking at Franklin Templeton. Once again, this is the project that I was most excited about here in 2025. They are leading the pack on daily volume, doing about $7.4 million worth of volume to this point. Now, Bitwise is outperforming. What are we seeing on Bitwise ETF inflows? Once again, they are second behind Franklin Templeton at 6.81 million in inflows. Then we have Rex Osprey's hybrid product at 4.3, Canary Capital at 4.1. Grayscale is in last place here for spot ETF issuers. They're only doing about $2.8 million worth of volume. And people were asking me, why? Why is Grayscale doing such a low volume? Well, they have a 0% fee for the time being, but after they get to 500 million in assets under management, that fee is going to be raised to 1.5%. That is 3 times higher than any other asset issuer that you can see here. So it's a little bit misleading that, and this website's phenomenal, by the way, xpmarket.com/ETFs. Everybody check it out. I have no affiliation to them, but obviously I use it on the show. It says 0% fee here, but after Grayscale gets to 500 million in assets under management, we are going to see that increase to 1.5%. That's one of the reasons that I believe that Grayscale has been lacking in terms of volume here for the XRP spot product. Now, what's not lacking is Franklin Templeton. And Franklin Templeton has 1.5 trillion in assets under management, 13,000 financial institutions all across the world that they work with daily, and they are just beginning to pitch XRP. So what are we going to see here, guys? As more companies are purchasing XRP off the open market and the supply is just drained and drained and drained, we're naturally going to see an increase in price. And whoops, I may have clicked the wrong button there. But Jake Claver highlighted this perfectly when he came on our channel. I just wanted to highlight it very clear, very simple to understand, so the entire Good Evening Crypto community understands what is about to happen for XRP if these inflow projections are maintained. If we continue to see $100 million, $150 million worth of XRP absorbed off the open market every single day, that will have a dramatic impact on the price chart, and it will inevitably increase the price as we head into the back end of the year. Now, as we go through this data, what am I looking at for XRP? Today, we're trading at $2.20. What I'm really waiting for, can we get a daily closure above 265? Now, again, it's a little bit far from where we are today. We're currently trading at about 220. We already got that weekly confirmation that we're in an uptrend. But what I need to see to know that parabolic momentum is back, I need to see XRP back above 265 and eventually, in a really bullish case scenario, daily closures above $3. If we can do that, it's going to be real easy to look at this price chart and say a big move is on the horizon. It's a matter of when, not if. But where is that big move going to come from? Well, it's going to come from a lot of this new demand that's just entering the space with these ETF products going live. We are looking at a market today that is just a fraction of what it will be just 6 to 8 months from now, because the floodgates have opened from Wall Street. They were busted wide open. We're standing right here waiting for this new liquidity to enter the market. And the best part about this, for every single person who watches this channel, we are all here before that moment. Somebody said, no breaks. Exactly, guys. The ETF buyers are here. They're here to stay. And the inflows are also here to stay. Now, if you don't have any context as to why that's important, there is only a certain amount of XRP on OTC desks and on exchanges globally. Let's use the hypothetical number. Call it about $30 billion worth of value, maybe 12 to 15 billion XRP tokens. Well, as we know, there is $100 million being absorbed off the open market every single day since these ETF issuers have been launched. And so $100 million, and we're going to go through the data later on in the episode, but you just extrapolate this, $100 million a day is $3 billion a month. $3 billion a month times 3 is $9 billion. And then you extrapolate that to a year, you are looking at $36 billion annually being absorbed in the XRP token off the open market. So at a certain point, yes, these XRP ETFs are going to begin selling as well. But for the short term, for the next 6, 8, 12 months, I think this is a great thing for the XRP price chart, and I'm going to highlight that later on in the show. Now, we do have already 3,000 people here. If you're enjoying this content, show us some love, smash that like button. I want to give a huge thank you to everybody who's donating. Carlos with the $2, huge shout out to you. We appreciate you, my friend. Thank you for the $2 donation. And Cyrus, a member in chat, shout out to you with the $10 donation. Greatly appreciated. Appreciate how you keep the expectations real instead of talking us through some Oompa land with fake news. Now, listen, there's one thing we do with fake news here. We call out the fake news. We do have to play into the narrative of the optimism, because I'm an optimist, and I think the XRP price chart is going to perform extremely well over these next couple of months. But when people come into the chat and they're sharing that we're in a bear market and they know for certain they're out of this market, they're coming back at lower prices, I actually have a tweet in regards to this that I wanted to show you guys because I found it really interesting. If I can locate it, one of the things is my computer's been a little bit slow. Here it is. So this person said he's cooked. The only two rules in crypto: buy XRP and then hodl. It's not investment advice, just a smart move. And this person said, I sold XRP at $1.90 to rebuy lower. I ended up selling my whole bag of 750 coins at $1.91 so I could rebuy XRP lower. Will it go lower, or am I cooked? Is anyone else in the same boat? These are the mistakes that I consistently talk about on this channel for our community to avoid. Don't sell the bottom. Don't sell into the fear. Instead, you sell into the greed. You sell into the momentum when you open up your Twitter app and XRP's at $8 and everybody's telling you that we're going to $35. That might be a time to take a little bit of profit. Now, I'm not saying you take a whole lot of profit. Maybe you take 8%. Maybe you take 5%. Maybe you take 2%. I mean, listen, if you have 100,000 tokens, which a lot of our listeners do, I've talked to these people. If you have 100,000 XRP tokens, there's no shame in taking 2,000, 2,500 of those and taking a little bit of profit, locking in that cash so you can reinvest at lower prices, right? One thing that I think we all agree upon here in the XRP community and in the Good Evening Crypto community is that XRP consistently does one thing. It goes into overvalued territory and then it goes into undervalued territory. And that volatility can be used to our advantage. But I promise you one thing, you shouldn't be selling into liquidity wicks into untouched ranges. Like this person sold at $1.90. We are down XRP. I say we, let's just say we for the sake of the example. XRP was down 40% and this guy sold his whole bag. When just a couple of months prior, we were trading at $3. Someone said KG is a big nerd. Listen, we ride or die for KG in the chat, guys. Don't come at the king because you best not miss, as they say. But when you're talking about the XRP price chart on a more serious note, what are we really witnessing here? Well, we saw that parabolic momentum. XRP is down 40%. This asset was trading at $365 in late July. If you're selling the lows at $1.90, it tells me you don't have experience in this market because the veterans know those red days, that's when you buy. Those green days, that's when you sell. And that's why I consistently talk about the Merlin application, guys. If you haven't created a profit plan, I would advise everybody, click on the Merlin application. You get 30 days completely free, access to the entire app. We're dropping new features constantly. But the best part about this, you get a realistic perception of what your portfolio can do during a bull market. And I'm going to give you guys a primary example by creating an exit plan. And look, I used extremely high price targets for the sake of the fun of it, right? If XRP goes to $1,000, here's what somebody with 10,400 tokens would have. They would have $3,700,000, and they're probably going to be paying about $800,000 in taxes. Now, again, I'm using high arbitrary price targets. My exit plan, I'm actually executing at lower prices. I'm going to be taking a little bit of profit at $5, at $8, at $12. Does that mean I'm selling my bag? No, maybe I'm selling 2%. Maybe I'm selling 4%. And the entire intention behind that, behind the profit taking, is to reinvest back into these same assets at lower prices. Retail investors need to get in the habit of taking profit, even if that means you're not going to, somebody said, look at that bag of coin. Guys, this is not my portfolio. This is a mock portfolio for the sake of the show, not my portfolio. But again, the whole point of what I'm saying here is that people need to have a realistic perception of how much money they can make. That way they know what their goals should be. That way they know exactly how much money they're going to make, exactly how much taxes they're going to owe. Merlin's the best way to do that and accomplish it here, guys. We do have 1,500 people here. Continue smashing that like button for the best community in all of crypto. And I thought you guys would find this useful as well. The XRP rich list, this is something a lot of our listeners should be creating a goal for, right? If you have 500 tokens, my advice wouldn't be creating a profit plan. My advice would be, and it's not financial advice, just what I would do if I was in this situation, I would take a long-term approach. I would dollar cost average $20 every Friday, $50 every Friday, $100 every Friday, whatever I could afford. And I would do that over a long period of time. I wouldn't think that my 500 XRP is going to create generational wealth. Instead, I would create a goal, maybe that 10% goal at the bottom here. This is the XRP rich list we're looking at. You only need 2,300 XRP tokens to be in the top 10% of wallets on planet Earth. That should be an arbitrary goal that at a $2 XRP, I think is accomplishable for almost everybody given a long enough period of time. Now, maybe it takes you 18 months. Maybe it takes you 24 months. Who knows? But at the end of the day, you're setting yourself up for success in the future. And I think we all agree that XRP is undervalued at $2. In 2030, I don't think you're going to be upset that you were buying $2 XRP, right? That's just my opinion. Maybe people feel differently, but I've been in this market for a long enough period of time to know just last year, 13 months ago, this asset was 50 cents. 14 months ago in September of 2024, XRP was trading at 41 cents. Now we're in the midst of a quote unquote pullback, a bear market, depending on who you listen to, and we're trading at $2.20. And even more optimistically, when you look at the fear and greed index, the fear and greed index is at the worst levels we've seen since the COVID crisis. You heard that correctly. There's no FTX collapse. There's no COVID crisis, but instead we are still at the worst levels of fear we have ever seen in the crypto space. And I'm going to highlight this even further, guys. We have never been this low. XRP, Bitcoin, the sentiment for these projects has never been this low in the history of crypto. Does that sound like an opportunity or does that sound like a negative thing? Because to me as a veteran investor, I'll have been here 7 years in January. This is a clear indication that these assets are undervalued and that retail is stepping out of this space. Look at the institutional adoption. I mean, we're going through the inflows every day on this channel. We are literally watching institutions, Wall Street companies, buy XRP in real time. Mic drop. If I had told you that 4 months ago, you would have said Etopium. A lot of people said we're not going to get the ETFs. We did get the ETFs. And for our listeners, listen, there's been some projections. There's been some analysis. I get it wrong. But I'm just like you guys. I read the news. I give my best guess. I give it my best shot. But one of the things that I absolutely did get correct was that these ETFs would be going live in the month of November for 2025. And we try to be as optimistic and realistic as possible. I am also anticipating a major increase in price given enough time for the supply shock that I'm about to outline to take place. Big thank you to Chad, and we are going to start breaking this down, guys. I want to give a huge shout out to Chad here. This is like 11, 12 days of donations. Shout out to you, my friend. You're breaking records here. You are a record holder. And we got to give a shout out to the 1970s legend as well. Came in last week, 2 $500 donations. Listen, guys, if someone's going to donate $500 a piece, they're going to get referenced on the show. I promise you that much. So shout out to 1970. But Chad said, Abs, the news tells the story. Thanks for your experience. Again, guys, here's another thing I think our listeners will appreciate. Why do you think every single time there's positive news, the prices are dropping? Well, because the inverse is also true. Every time it's a mundane market, like look at back in July of this year, there wasn't anything real happening here. There wasn't some bullish narrative for XRP. It was quite frankly, it was kind of boring. It's the middle of the summer, not a lot of big news articles or adoption articles, and XRP rallied all the way to create brand new all-time highs. Well, right now we're seeing all this adoption. We had Ripple swell. We have partnerships. We have ETFs going live. We have the market being regulated, and nothing is happening. The price charts are being completely demolished, and retail investors are sitting there more confused and more uncertain than ever. Well, that's about to flip. When this market gets boring and prices start going through the roof, there's going to be no positive news. People are going to say, why is crypto moving? The texts are going to start coming in, guys. I've been in this market for a long enough time to understand kind of the patterns and the indicators of when we're at a top versus when we're at a relative bottom. Now, we do have 3,800 live listeners here. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. We did already pass, I'll tell you the live like counter, 496 likes on the episode. Big thank you to every single person who shows up, hits the like button, and supports the channel. I'd love to hear ones in chat if you believe XRP breaks its all-time high in 2025. Twos in chat if you think it does not happen. Now, that doesn't make you a bear. That just means you don't think it's going to happen here in 2025. And I'm about to start breaking down the ETF inflows. Here's a new update out of Franklin Templeton. So remember, guys, this is a $1.5 trillion asset manager, and they stated within a diversified digital portfolio, we view XRP as a foundational building block. This is the moment we've been waiting for. These guys, these huge trillion-dollar companies, are about to start marketing XRP for us. They're going to walk into these companies with their PowerPoint presentations and their suits, and they're going to start pitching the idea of XRP being the future of finance. Now, why is that great for people like me and you? We're here to capitalize on that growth. We are here before the mass marketing campaign begins. What's unfortunate about that is it may be a cycle top indicator. And guys, when I think we're at a top, I'm going to come onto this show and I'm going to be very transparent about that. I'm going to tell you when I'm taking profit. I'm going to tell you if I think we're at a top. That is not my speculation. That is not where I think we are. And before we dive into all this breaking news, I did just want to play one video really quick. This is Raul Paul once again. I'm going to take a sip of water. Then we're going to get into the XRP price targets and the supply shock that I believe is on the horizon due to the data and analytics that we're going to observe today. So let's get into this.
Hold on to your hats. Don't fuck this up. Don't lose control of your tokens. Don't use leverage. Don't get your wallet hacked. Just sit with it. Be careful. Don't get FOMO. Do all of the right things, and we'll go up to the next phase of corrections. That's going to be harder because the next one that happens, we'll have a 35% drop, and you'll all say, "Is it over?" And you'll definitely be sure it's over. And everybody on Twitter will tell you it's over, and it won't be over. By our work, we suggest that because of the elongation of the business cycle, because rates were higher for longer, the forward-looking liquidity suggests that, again, probabilistically speaking, without any guarantees, this whole thing goes into Q1, maybe Q2 of 2026, which would align with Trump's, trying to win the midterms as well. So everything's lined up for us. I think it started. So keep the faith, keep building stuff, and let's keep driving Siri forward with all of this.
So remember, guys, this video was put out 6 months ago, way before the collapse that we're going through today. One's in chat if you agree with Raul, two's in chat if you disagree. Now, I agree. I feel as if, and this is just my personal opinion, We are at this moment where fear is at an all-time high. Retail investors think we're in a bear market, yet institutional demand is ramping up. And we're tracking that data here on Good Evening Crypto. So I'm really excited about this. I think that this is when generational wealth is made. I don't have generational wealth. Neither, like, if I did, I would say it. I don't. But I think that these are the opportunities, these major pullbacks on assets that we know will be here in the long run. These are discount prices. This is holiday sales. This is Black Friday sales. Shout out to the shoppers. People are buying presents. Buy some presents for yourself. Get some discount digital assets on this Black Friday sale. Shout out to Thanksgiving, guys. I haven't actually decided if I'm going to do a show on Thanksgiving. Let me know if you want me to do that. I have to check with my family and see what time we're eating. But at the same time, if you guys want a show, put a 1 in chat on Thanksgiving. I can make an effort to try to come on here, do a half an hour live for you all on Thanksgiving morning. But again, a lot of people, if you have family, go out, spend time with family. That's way more important than any show I'm going to do here on Good Evening Crypto. Now, to begin to break down some of the inflows and some of the data, we are looking at the live tracking volume for the XRP spot products. Now, the most exciting product, in my opinion, is the Franklin Templeton ETF. And I've highlighted that for months on our channel. They already have $32 million worth of total volume. We've got Bitwise, $92 million in volume since launch. Rex Osprey, $200 million worth of volume. Canary Capital, $200 million worth of volume since launch. And this is so important because it goes to show the first mover advantage for people. Why is BlackRock not in the space? Why is Van Eck or Van Eyck? I always forget how to pronounce that. Why are they not in the space, right? So let me know, guys, what is your speculation on why BlackRock has not launched an XRP ETF? Someone said my aunt Ashley. Is she in chat, guys? Shout out to Ashley if she's out there. But let's break down what's actually happening. We're witnessing the inflows. We're tracking this data. So the scenarios, they keep returning the same answer for the XRP community. In less than 1 year, the combined ETFs, which haven't even finished launching yet, guys, there's 4, there's going to be 12 at some point. The ETFs will drain the entire circulating supply of XRP, according to the data that I'm going to take you through here. On a conservative level, we need just 1 year, and all of the circulating supply for XRP is gone. On an aggressive level, BlackRock enters along with every major asset manager, and the XRP is gone in less than 6 months. There's only one answer that changes this. The price of XRP must be extremely high, and the XRP is gone in 6 months. So the only way that they can offset the massive amount of inflows is that if the XRP value increases, so it diminishes the impact that it has on the actual tokens being absorbed off the open market. Here's a simple way to explain it. If XRP is trading at $10, it takes $100 to get 10 tokens, right? That means only 10 tokens are being absorbed from OTC. But if XRP is $1 and it takes $10 to get 10 XRP tokens, that supply on exchanges is going to diminish much quicker. So it's actually better for the ETF issuers, for the exchanges, for the OTC desks, for the XRP price to increase in order to diminish the rate that it's rapidly reduced from the circulating supply. So I hope that makes sense. I hope that's a really simple explanation. It is better for XRP to be a higher price, not only for exchanges, not only for the OTC desk, but for Wall Street. We've never been able to say that before. We now have Wall Street on the same side as XRP holders. They want an increase in XRP price. That's something that we need to say definitively here on this channel. There is only one way that this changes. The price for XRP must be extremely high. How high? Let's break it down. We're going to start talking about how high. So the question is, what is a high price for XRP? Well, we have to factor in the average price of XRP at different levels to find out what this means. So this means that it could be lower earlier and higher later. That's that mass inflection point that I was talking about. There's going to be a steady, consistent inflow, and all of a sudden the OTC desks are going to be running low, and they're going to say, hey, we can't offer you 250 now. We're going to have to go 325. Hey, we can't offer you 325. We're going to have to go 480. Hey, we can't go 480. We're going to have to go 950. That's kind of what we're waiting for here. And here's what I'm going to outline next. This could mean higher price towards the back end. We're talking 12, 18 months. And people are like, I want this to happen tomorrow. It's started. The floodgates are open. Now we're just speculating on the impact. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. Using the conservative case scenario of $33 billion being absorbed from OTC and exchanges per year, these numbers become staggering. And this is from Chad Steingraber. Great job here. He's done a phenomenal job covering all these things. The XRP price factor at a conservative $33.6 billion, we are looking at a 5x. That would be $11 and 25 cents 1 year from now. One's in chat if you think we get there. Two's in chat if you don't think we get there. If we look at a 10x multiplier, we're talking about $22.50 for the XRP community in just 1 year. At a 20x multiplier, that would be $45. We're talking about $45 in 1 year based on these inflows. Now, again, these higher price targets, going through my own speculation, I don't think these are going to happen. The 90, 135, and 225, those are really high. It would take some real big changes, I think, beyond ETFs. We need some Jake Claver theories to start playing out. And they are starting to play out if you guys have been keeping an eye on Japan. The only answer is this new ETF era is that the price must go up in order to slow the rate that asset managers will take in assets under management. Let me know some of your thoughts in chat, guys. This is kind of the moment we've all been waiting for. And I love that we can sit here and look at the market and not speculate. We're just analyzing the data. We're tracking the inflows. And eventually, we're going to see an impact in the XRP price chart as well. Now, here's a great clip here. And this is from Sal Gilberti, who's going to be joining Good Evening Crypto in the month of December. I'm also going to be having Bitwise CIO Matt Hogan on this show in the month of December. If you guys are excited about that, smash that like button. Let us know in chat what are some of your thoughts. And again, we already passed 616 likes on today's show. Massive shout out and thank you. Let's keep smashing that like button. Let's dive into this clip.
Again, coin in my JP Morgan account, or would I hold something else like Bitcoin or Ethereum or XRP?
Look, the only reason to hold a JP Morgan coin or a Franklin Templeton coin or anybody that's got their own coin is using it is because you got to move things around inside their system. That's the only reason. Those things are going to be stable coins. That they're not. They're a totally different class. They're just used to make the rails workable. You know, everybody in the XRP world hopes that they'll use XRP and not develop their own token. But people will. I think it depends on the amount of investment they want to make. I think Ripple and its rails are set up for easy use by a lot of banks and a lot of institutions, and it will be used by them. And then I think there are the behemoth players that by nature are going to build their own internal rails, have their own internal token, and that's fine too. The whole ecosystem is going to build, but it's going to be more efficient. And again, Nostro Vostro going away opens up a stunning amount of capital.
Yeah,
the whole world to use.
Well, and to your point there, internal tokens versus when we do see the interbank transfers, the cross borders, all that. That's where RLUSD could really become a power player if positioned correctly. And now with G Treasury and many of the other acquisitions by Ripple, this could become reality fast, especially with clarity and all that. So it just seems like everything is coming to a head.
And guys, I got a major update in regards to the Clarity Act. I can't believe I didn't reference this earlier, but yesterday on a Spaces, Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson talked about how Brad Garlinghouse is working closely to develop the Clarity Act. He also went on to say he's been meeting with the president. So this is a 22-second clip. I'm going to break this down. Here it is.
I think the hardest working person on the Clarity Act was Brad. He was in DC pretty much every day, talking to people every day, even with the president, doing all kinds of things. I keep running into him. I say, hey.
We're talking about Brad Garlinghouse, correct? For clarity.
Yes, that's correct. He's one of the hardest working guys. I think the hardest working person on the Clarity Act was Brad. He was in DC pretty much every day, talking to people every day, even with the president, doing all kinds of things. I keep running into him. I say, hey.
We're talking about Brad Garlinghouse, correct? For clarity.
Yes, that's correct.
So you heard it there, guys. Brad Garlinghouse is working with the Digital Asset Working Group as well as President Trump to develop the Clarity Act. How are we not optimistic? How are we not bullish? We went from Ripple's CEO being kicked out of Citibank and sued by the SEC to now sitting with the president and developing United States crypto regulation. If that just doesn't go to show the complete polarity of the Trump administration's interaction with the digital asset class versus the Biden administration's interaction with the digital asset class, my optimistic sentiment is legitimate. That's pretty much the best way I could say it. Someone said, I'm so grateful to all you who made my XRP horoscope. Was my most watched video this month. Shout out to the Astro Logos in chat. I did watch one of your videos as well. Check it out. Astrological review on Ripple and their court case. I appreciate you all. Pretty cool, guys. We always want to support different members of our community, and the people who I see here every day, we're going to make an effort to kind of back whatever they're doing as well. Now, I did want to point this out, guys. It's an exciting time to be in crypto, but specifically, let's look at the XRP price chart for just a moment here. Couple of ranges that I want our listeners to keep an eye on. So first of all over the weekend, I told you we needed to get a closure above $2 and eventually above $2.14. Well, we blew that away yesterday. And I have an update in regards to this. One of the things about having all these different tabs open at the top is that it can be a little bit confusing for me. So I do apologize about that. But here's what's really interesting, guys. Boom, I found the data. We are looking at a massive cup and handle on the XRP price chart. You don't have to be a TA specialist to figure this stuff out. What happens after a cup and handle? Breakout. And we are obviously in that bearish descent right now. If we're able to get out of this channel, which would occur at about $2.80, we're going to get some major bullish momentum. Now, the price targets here are fairly arbitrary. He's predicting $9, $11, and $13. And if we clear those ranges, we're looking at 19, 22, and 28. Now, as for the initial breakout, once again, guys, that same range that I'm keeping an eye on, he's anticipating $4.16 to $6.10. Let me know some of your thoughts about those price targets. Someone said, big thank you to Brian in chat for the $4.99. Abs, just stay alive for a few hours Wednesday and take Thursday off. Touch some grass, hug some family. Greatly appreciated, guys. So, yeah, maybe I will just take Thursday to kind of hang out. But if people want a show, I'm always there. I appreciate the fact that people want to watch the show, especially on a holiday, which is pretty cool. But here's the cup and handle analysis, guys. Very simple to understand. What are we looking at? The same structure for the XRP price chart. And obviously in this analysis, you get a breakout. And we're looking at the same thing here for XRP. We've got the ETF inflows. We've got the sentiment. We've got the Clarity Act. We got the government back. We got the Fed reducing rates. Everything is kind of aligning here towards the back end of 2025. And I'm even more optimistic about the fact that retail investors are tapped out. When you talk to your friends and family, when you go on crypto Twitter, people are so negative. Just 3-4 months ago, that's not the case. When Bitcoin was 126, everybody was screaming how we're in a bull market, we're going to 180. Now that Bitcoin's back down to $89,000, $90,000, everybody says we're going back to 40K. The truth is somewhere in between. I think we're getting ready for our next leg up. And my belief is that when the Fed reduces rates and we see these ETF inflows begin to accumulate and absorb shares off the open market, there's going to be a big dramatic impact in the XRP price chart. And I think this price is a great example, or this chart right here is a great example of some of the ranges that we could hit fairly soon, guys. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. We did already pass 693 likes on the episode. Can we pass 700 on the show? Only 7 more likes to do so. I did just want to quickly address the user poll for today. The question that we asked you guys, does XRP break its all-time high in 2025? 78% say yes. 22% say no. That's out of 1,435 votes. Here's what I know. If we get daily closures above $3, I think we're breaking all-time high. So if we can get some daily closures, if November ends bullish, my goodness, strap in. Rocket has taken off, and I'm excited that we're going to be here and do this thing together in the calendar year of 2025. So we love you guys. We appreciate you all. Don't fall for the bearish sentiment. Remain positive. It's a holiday week, and prices are trending in the right direction. I'm really witnessing, can we get a daily closure for XRP? I'd love to see 275. If we can get up to 235, 240, I'll consider that a win as well. But we love you guys. We appreciate you all. We're going to be back in 23 hours. And like we always say, we'll see you in the next one.
You're going to be so proud of your president, and I don't care about that. But you are going to be so proud of your country because we're going to turn it around.
Sorry, guys, I did just see we got one more donation here now. There's no comment on this $4.99, but I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to this person for the $5 donation. Greatly appreciated, my friend. And we do hit every single donation here on this channel. So we love you guys. We appreciate you all. Go out, spend some time with family, enjoy it, because this may be the moment that we look back upon in just a couple of months and say, that was the buying opportunity that I should have taken advantage of. So we love you guys. We appreciate you all. Stay positive out there, and we'll see you in the next.
You're going to be so proud of your president, and I don't care about that. But you are going to be so proud of your country because we're going to turn it around and we're going to start winning again. We're going to win so much. We're going to win at every level. We're going to win economically. We're going to win with the economy. We're going to win with military. We're going to win with healthcare and for our veterans. We're going to win with every single facet. We're going to win so much, you may even get tired of winning. And you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning. We have to win more. See, the bottom line is, well, you don't know much about crypto. You know nothing about nothing. You're fake news.
So if you're looking to do the same strategies that we implement here on Good Evening Crypto, I would advise everybody sign up for Merlin and click on the ITrust Capital link below. Now, why did these two ideas play off one another? Merlin is going to allow our listeners to understand where they should be taking profit in this market, and ITrust is going to allow our listeners to take that profit tax-free through an IRA product. Now, that's not the best part about this. We are giving new clients a $100 sign-up bonus using the promo code GEC9. So I would encourage everybody, click on the link below the video, use promo code GEC9, and set yourself up for success during this crypto bull market.